Today I'd like to give you an update on progress with our investigations in respect of the situation here and around Parliament. I'd also like to comment on injuries to our staff and how they're doing, and I would like to acknowledge the other effort that we've been putting in today in and around Wellington. Yesterday, police staff made 89 arrests. This includes 1 for arson, 1 for threatening to cause grievous bodily harm, 9 for inciting violence, and 78 for trespass or obstruction. Today, so far, we've made 11 further arrests. This is for rioting, theft and assaults. So far, we have arrested a total of 100 people. We have commenced a significant investigation phase. This is being led by a Detective Superintendent, and we are working hard to bring together a lot of footage, support from the public and other sources of information to help us hold people accountable for their criminal behaviour yesterday. We've had more than 500 police staff involved in the operation here in Wellington. Of that, more than 540 police staff have been injured yesterday. This ranges from bumps, bruises, lacerations, to bone fractures, head injuries and chest injuries. 8 of the 40 staff were admitted to hospital. All of them have now been discharged, and we're providing support to them and their families. I'd like to acknowledge the support of Wellington Free Ambulance. Our staff were very, very grateful for their support yesterday. They were with us, behind us on that front line, and when our staff were being injured, they were there to provide immediate support to them. They were given the care and attention that they deserved, and in some cases they returned to that front line to continue their work. I'd also like to acknowledge Fire and Emergency New Zealand. They had over 50 staff there yesterday, and as you'll be well aware, the situation was dangerous with fires breaking out, and having them available alongside us to ensure that the situation was brought under control as quickly as possible for the safety of all people is something that we are very grateful for. Today our efforts here in Wellington have focused on reassurance patrols and visibility in and around Wellington. I'd like to say a very big thank you to the people of Wellington, the support that they have shown today to police staff that were involved yesterday and today, and has just been phenomenal. And from all police staff, sincere thanks for the thousands of messages that have come in to us today, acknowledging the hard work of our police staff yesterday. That hard work continues, and as I've said, we have an investigation phase underway, and that will continue for as long as it needs to hold persons accountable for their criminal behaviour. And once again, I'd just like to support the Commissioner of Police in terms of his messaging to our people for their outstanding and stunning work in the last 48 hours to prepare for the work that we did yesterday, and that will continue. A remarkable work by the men and women of New Zealand Police. Thank you. Questions?
Can you detail some of the injuries that officers suffered?
Well, as I've said, 8 of our staff were admitted to hospital. Whilst they've all been discharged now, those injuries range from bumps, bruises, lacerations, head injuries, chest injuries, and bone fractures. I'm obviously, for privacy reasons, unable to go into any more detail.
The Professional Firefighters Union says their staff were commandeered yesterday beyond the scope of their line of command. What's your response to that? Were they taken beyond what they're there for?
The support of Fire and Emergency New Zealand is for obvious reasons, and we were prepared for the situation that occurred yesterday, and their support alongside us to bring those fires under control rapidly was something that we are grateful. It was in the interest of the safety.
To do work beyond what FENS are there to do?
No, they came to do what FENS are there to do, and that is to deal with any situation that unfolds in front of us, and we're grateful for that support.
They say hoses were taken and then grabbed by protesters as well, though. So hoses it out of fence.
Oh yes,
and
appreciate, yes, and that's right. And with the FEN staff working alongside police, we did our best to control those situations. You'll have seen the criminal behaviour that was unfolding yesterday, and we did our absolute best alongside not only Fire and Emergency New Zealand, but also Wellington Free Ambulance in the interest of safety, not only of police staff, ambulance staff, fire and the public.
So you're saying that FEN's only worked within their control, only in their scope. Firefighters were only working within their scope.
They were there for a particular purpose, as I think everybody appreciates, and the violence that we saw unfolding yesterday meant that the total teamwork across those emergency services was impressive, and in the interest of keeping everybody safe.
I was going to ask how many protesters were injured yesterday or seriously injured. We talked a lot about police numbers, but is that in total?
I do not have a total of injuries for protesters for you. But what I will say is that, of course, the medical support that was there available was as available for anyone that was injured over and above the police staff and other emergency staff. So where medical support was required, it was available. And I can't comment on any admissions to hospital, I'm not sure, but I am quite sure that should someone have required support, they would have received it.
What about going forward, in terms of future support or rehabilitation, de-radicalisation programs to those who took part in the protest? Is that on the cards, and who will be leading that? If it's not police, how will it be delivered?
We have a significant amount of effort going into this all the time, and what you've seen unfold over the last 3 weeks doesn't mean that we're necessarily going to do anything different to what we do as a police agency alongside other agencies in the interest of keeping our country and people safe.
Did police use excessive force yesterday?
Sorry?
Did police use excessive force yesterday?
The force that police staff used necessary was proportionate to the situation that was in front of them. And as you saw, that was necessary to bring under control what was a violent situation, and I acknowledge the work of police staff in doing that.
How many people are you still looking for in relation to the incidents yesterday?
We have a significant investigation phase now underway, and that will take as long as it needs to take, with the resources that we require and the support of the general public, with footage and other sources available to us. So I can't give you a number of people that we are looking for, but it's a significant effort by police to be looking through all the footage that we have. Some of that footage is footage that we've captured. Some of that footage is footage that the public have already given us, that the media have given us, and we are very, very grateful for that support. It's incredibly important that we hold people accountable for the criminal behaviour that they demonstrated yesterday.
Yes,
would you investigate people who might be thought of as being instigators or leaders in this movement? We understand Leighton Baker was arrested this morning. What can you tell us about
I'm not going to comment on individuals that were arrested, but what I will say that if any evidence demonstrates that someone's behaviour was criminal, then we will take the appropriate action.
This is a live stream, so can you please be mindful of any additional names that you use?
And what about people who might have profited from this? There was some fundraising activity going on, New Zealand bank accounts. What are the steps being taken to?
As I mentioned the other day, one of the things that we look at is funding streams. So that work's underway as part of our investigation, but it's obviously too early to comment on any specifics, but we use the legislation available to us to identify anything that's a breach of the criminal law.
Yesterday, a protester was able to pick up a high-powered fire hose and spray this at police. How was it able to happen?
Well, I think what you saw yesterday was a very violent and confrontational situation, so yes, that did occur, but shortly thereafter, through tactical response by our police staff, we were able to bring that situation under control.
A video shows a police officer repeatedly punching one of the protesters and he then falls to the ground. Is that okay?
Well, look, obviously we're looking at all circumstances here, but let's just not lose sight of the fact that police staff, when confronted with a very violent situation yesterday, people who had remained on site here with the intent not of protesting, but in terms of, but in fact in terms of their violent behaviour, and so the force used by police was obviously proportionate, but we will certainly look at any situation that suggests otherwise.
Is there anything
later in the day the police were equipped with what looked like sponge bullets? Were those used on protesters at all?
Yes, they were. That's right. That's part of our tactical response. Non-lethal tactical options to bring a situation under control. Very satisfied in the circumstances that we had yesterday that was necessary and proportionate to bring that situation under control.
Well, it's happening to clear protesters from Wellington. They've gone from Parliament, but we know that they're lingering around the southern coast, and earlier they were out in Horirua as well. They're not leaving. What's going to happen?
There are a number of people who have been involved in the situation here in Wellington, still in the Wellington region. We are aware of that. We are keeping a very close eye on that. A number of those people who come from other parts of New Zealand. It may take them some time to mobilise and head home. We encourage them to do exactly that. But in the meantime, we are monitoring all behaviour and their activity to prevent any further situation.
We understand they're having meetings about their next steps. Are you concerned that they are going to wait for police to back off and then come back?
We will continue to monitor the situation, not only here in Wellington, but in other parts of the country, and we will take the necessary action to prevent a situation developing.
So I understand that Special Tactics Group had a shoot-to-kill order for a person who tried to drive at police. What can you...
No, look, I don't comment on specific tactics, sorry.
Is there some, would you like to thank any specialist squads, armed defenders, or any other specialist groups of police? Can you tell us a little bit about specialist roles that were activated yesterday?
As the Commissioner of Police has already said, this was a massive effort by New Zealand Police, over 500 men and women of our organisation, intensely proud of the work that they've put in over recent weeks and in particular yesterday. We are trained to deal with these situations, and we deployed tactics and specialist groups in order to help bring that under control.
How long will police be patrolling the streets around Wellington?
We will be patrolling the streets around Wellington or any other part of New Zealand where protest activity may occur for as long as it's needed to bring any situation under control that is not that is outside peaceful and lawful protest.
But how long will extra staff be sort of stationed around here?
I can't comment on how long we'll have staff. I can't see into the future, but I would like to think that everything resumes as normal as we know it should be as soon as possible.
Can you deny?
Have any search warrants been carried out today or yesterday in relation to any arrests that have been made at the protest?
I can't comment on search warrants. Obviously, a significant investigation phase. We will use the law to our benefit to help identify those responsible for criminal behaviour.
Can you confirm or deny there are two popular rumours going around supporters of the protesters and the protesters themselves that police killed a 4-year-old in a tent yesterday morning and a 16-year-old broke their back? Any truth or
No,
those at all?
no truth in that whatsoever that I'm aware of.
Next question.
In relation to, just going back to the Firefighters Union, they say specifically that the absence of interagency protocols caused some confusion, and they'd like an inquiry. What's the police view on a possible inquiry about how police and fire can work together?
Yeah, sure. Look, we have MOUs with a number of agencies, including Fire and Emergency New Zealand, and whilst those do the best that they can to help identify roles and responsibilities, when you have a situation like you saw unfold yesterday, there may be times when things happen that are outside of that, but we are very grateful to FENS and to Wellington Free Ambulance for the support that they've provided us
Can you
yesterday.
just give us some indication on the place of residence of the people who've been arrested? I mean, a certain percentage. Can you give us some indication of how widely across New Zealand these people come from?
Look, there have been a lot of people here in Wellington over the last 3 weeks. Many of them have travelled here from other parts of the country. I can't give you a breakdown of where they live, but we are aware that many have travelled with their camper vans and vans and other things to spend time here, so we encourage them to go home, please.
Did you use pepper spray yesterday?
Yes, we did use pepper spray yesterday, and that's entirely appropriate in the circumstances that we found ourselves dealing with yesterday.
What about using fire extinguishers on protesters or punching them, throwing pavers back?
What you would have seen yesterday was a number of fire extinguishers used against police people, as well as bricks being thrown at our people, and that in turn influenced the tactics that we used.
Would you say this is anywhere near over?
I would like to think, like everybody, that this returns to some normality, and we've seen today that in fact we've achieved a lot of that, so we want that to continue not only here in Wellington but in other parts of the country. But we will remain in Wellington providing reassurance to the people of Wellington and around the country for as long as it takes.
The challenge that you mentioned.
I don't want to cut you short, but if we could just try and keep different questions coming so that you get your fill for today and everyone can get on the file.
The charges that you mentioned, how many of those were related to activities beyond the protest itself and off Parliament grounds?
I can't give you a breakdown of that here, but obviously you have the parliamentary precinct and what you saw unfold there, and you saw also unfolding on the streets of Wellington. So the 100 arrests that we've made so far in relation to that behaviour, but obviously we will look at anything in other parts of the country and respond accordingly if we identify breaches of the criminal law.
After police cleared Parliament's grounds and there was people left rioting in the streets, how many of those were police believe were genuine protesters, and how many were just there causing trouble?
Well, I think you'd agree that what we saw yesterday was genuine protesters had long gone, and those that remained had a different agenda, and that was one of violence. And that influenced our tactics yesterday, and were able to bring the situation under control by 10 p.m. last night.
How much is the scope of your unit that was set up, the national unit, widening beyond Wellington? Because we have seen, Auckland, Christchurch picked in. Are
Sure.
you guys having to work nationally now, especially as people go home to the regions?
Absolutely. My role as the National Controller for this situation is to ensure that I also have an appreciation of what's happening in other parts of the country, whether that's in Picton or in Auckland or in Christchurch, and that we respond accordingly and appropriately to those situations as well. And what we have seen today is a number of those protesters depart and go home as well.
And so is this Wellington focused, or is this now nationally focused as we see it shut down in Wellington?
Oh, it is a significant part of this has been about what's been occurring here in Wellington, but we have always maintained visibility of what's happening in other parts of the country, and we'll continue to do that.
What if any, assistance did the New Zealand Defence Force provide to police during this?
Yeah, we've had the support of New Zealand Defence Force. We've acknowledged them previously, particularly in and around our planning. This has been a significant operation leading up to yesterday's activity, and we thank New Zealand Defence Force for the support in doing that.
What did they actually give police?
The New Zealand Defence Force gave us their planning skills to work alongside our planning people to come up with the best approach for a number of scenarios that could have and did unfold yesterday.
How many
Speaker
staff?
has raised the point they might need a wall around Parliament. Is that some advice you'd give for the future?
That's not for me to comment on. That's a matter for the Speaker and his people.
What do you make of the protesters turning up at Shelley Bay last night?
I can't comment on necessarily the Shelley Bay situation, other than like I've said, we're obviously aware of other activity around the country, and that includes Shelley Bay.
500 staff from police. We understand they've been taking RAT tests now. How many are you concerned you're going to lose to have to self-isolate?
Well, yes, before our police staff do head home to other parts of the country, they are required to do a RAT test. Look, we represent the people of New Zealand, and our men and women, just like others, where we can expect some to get COVID, and that has happened here in this operation as well, just like it has in other parts of the country. So we have a lot of resource, but we also have to balance the complexities of managing through this pandemic and maintain as best as we possibly can our response for calls for help.
Earlier on you mentioned that there were allegations of sexual assaults happening within the camp.
Correct.
What has come of those allegations?
That's correct. We had information that there were sexual assaults occurring, and it was me that mentioned that and said, look, please, if that is happening, please let us know. We will deal with that. We are the right agency to investigate. I am not sure yet whether or not we have had anyone come forward yet, but look, if it has happened, and often it takes time for victims to come forward, we still welcome the opportunity to talk to them if they would like us to take action.
What was the basis of that statement? Was it an anonymous tip? Did someone actually make it?
No, we had a number of reports from people within the protest area of sexual assaults occurring.
Anything else that's more recent?
Thank you all. Thanks.
Thanks.